Hi, everyone. It's me, Tim. And today I want to talk about the beginning of a game. I want to talk about why that's so important. I'm going to answer a question from Shadow Dragon Dev, who asks, what are your thoughts on what makes a good or bad beginning for a game? Beginning not just as in when you press new game, but also as in you first open the game program itself, that entire first impression a player gets at the very start of their experience with it. That's a good question. In fact, I'm not even going to mention that experience starts even earlier, but I'll get to that. I think it's interesting that this question came in before I put up my video about making and maintaining IPs, because some of the stuff I talk about in there will have to do with this. But let me just, go over how important the beginning of a game is. It's really important. You only get one chance to make that first impression. And I was thinking about how important it was, and then I remembered something I really liked. I really liked the original Dune movie. I'm in a minority there. But I think Princess Irulan says it best. So let's see what she has to say.
A beginning is a very delicate time.
Okay, so beginning is a delicate time. Let's keep that in mind. Also, the beginning is really, really hard to do, especially for a new IP. It's if when people don't really know what they have in store, what's coming up, you don't have a whole lot of time to get them involved and engrossed and imagining all the fun they're going to have in your game. And for a new IP, what they know nothing about, I mean, that's hard enough to do on a game. They may have already played a few games. Excuse me. I just always have congestion. But on a new IP, it's just really hard to convey that. It used to be, and this is why I'm going to say it's even before the player runs the executable. Before, we used to have the box to help. We were very careful with the Fallout box to put lots of screenshots on it. We wanted all the parts of the box to look evocative. It looked like a rusty lunchbox, I think is what Leonard was thinking it would be. The manual itself looked like a found item from within the world. It was told from a very funny point of view. It had funny cartoons of Vault Boy in various bad situations. There were Vault Tech ads and the recipes and everything. It just felt like something that fell out of the Fallout universe. And keep in mind that for a lot of people, until recently, the installation process took long enough that during the installation process, that's when people would look at the manual and the box. And sometimes the installation itself would put up screenshots or even a cinematic movie. So you even had that time to make an impression on the player before they'd even played the game. Nowadays, installations tend to take seconds or minutes, not hours like they used to. And even when that's happening, even the ones that do take a long time, you're basically just watching a bar like on your console fill up. A lot of times you can do it in the background, especially if you're buying it digitally. And so the digital storefront is now important, and it has screenshots and a cinematic or two for people to look at before they buy. But also remember that a lot of places like Steam offer refunds if you don't like it in the first, I think Steam is 20 minutes or an hour, something like that. I've never returned a game. To me, I've always felt like you have 10 minutes to grab someone's attention. If you can't express the game it's going to be and get them really interested and involved in playing it in the first 10 minutes, you're probably going to lose a lot of people. Now, that used to be, I would say you used to have 30 minutes. Now I'm saying 10. I'm wondering if it's even shorter now. People, I don't know if it's people's attention spans or the fact that there's just so much out there while they're watching something. They're like, I could be playing half a dozen other things right now. But for whatever reason, that first few minutes of a game are super important. Now, I don't think I always did that well with that. A lot of people, even before we launched Fallout, a lot of people were complaining on the team and in QA and other people at Interplay that the beginning of it was too slow and too brutal. The beginning of Fallout is you step out the vault door. This is after you've made your character and watched the opening cinematic saying, go find the water chip. You step out the vault door, it closes behind you, and now you're in a cave. And you have to walk around and explore that cave trying to find a way out while rats are attacking you. Personally, I think with the sensibilities I have now, that is the wrong way to do it. I would have started it showing a cinematic of the player going outside into a very bright desert and then resolving that into the isometric view where the player can see very close nearby there are like rats chewing on something and like a body or something, and you can see equipment. Now, if you want that equipment, which you might, you're going to have to fight those rats. If you want to avoid them, you can sneak away or probably just walk directly away from where they are. And I want that to be like lesson 1 of the Wasteland. You don't always have to fight. You can avoid it. But if you do want to fight, decide what you're fighting for. You know, you can see maybe he's got a gun and a box of ammo sitting next to him. Know what you're fighting for. Know what you're getting into. And know what kind of character you made. That's the problem I had with the Fallout intro was you could make a talking character, but the first thing you're doing is fighting rats. Now, we threw that in there because we thought it was important for anyone to know how to fight, especially before they went on the Overland map and were dropped into encounters that if they couldn't run away from, they'd at least be shot at a few times. This is what led to the whole Fallout 2 Temple of Trials thing, which is when marketing said, hey, you have to have a tutorial and it has to be unskippable and you have to teach things about how the game is played. That probably came out of the fact that we didn't do as good a job in Fallout 1 of teaching the game. I get that. Still doesn't make me like Fallout 2's Temple of Trials any better. I still think that was a nightmare of a way of starting a game. Especially that it's not skippable. It's for the same reason Fallout 3's intro bothers me. It's like, I don't want to play through me growing up in the vault. I played through it once. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to skip it and go, just let me make my character and jump outside. So I have trouble with intros that are too long and unskippable. So I think Arcanum, we did a really interesting thing with that because we knew Arcanum wasn't known. So when Arcanum started up, after it said Sierra and Troika, it had an opening cinematic that was just a few seconds long that showed two people in classic medieval-looking armor that were obviously dueling. And one of them's walking up to the other, and he's got his sword out, and the sword starts to glow, so you know it's magical. And then, whoa, the second guy just pulled out a gun and shot it at him. That was a lot of Arcanum condensed into one short, just 3 or 4 second cinematic of this is a, fantasy game. It's set in medieval time, but there's magic, but there's also guns. So I thought that was a much better way of kind of expressing the concept of Arcanum than a cinematic that somebody may skip or look away from or whatever. You've just installed this thing. It's starting up. We've got you. Don't blow it. Just in a few seconds, just kind of give them that little thing. And then boom, they're at the main menu. What do you want to do? So I think Arcanum encapsulates what I'm trying to tell you here, which is the opening has to stress the very simple, distinctive essence of your IP. And if this sounds a lot like that video I made about making and maintaining an IP, that's why I mentioned it at the beginning of this video. Once you have that essence, that should permeate all your design docs. And if you talk to a publisher, it should be part of your elevator pitch and should be supported by your design pillars and all the things I've been saying on this channel for months. When you do that opening, you have to figure out the fastest, shortest way of taking that distinct, simple essence of your IP and compressing it down and putting it in a cinematic. And it should be evocative. It should be fun to watch because you want people to actually look at this thing and figure out what your game is and then want to play it. And by that, I mean they should be thinking of things like, I wonder what kind of character I want to make. I wonder what's out there. I think the first thing I want to do is go look for this. I wonder if you can have magic guns. I wonder if there are any kind of technological dragons out there? What, like, boom, what is going on here? That's what people should be thinking in the very beginning of your game. So, I'll say what Princess Erlon said. A beginning is a delicate time. It's hard to do this. I've messed up many times in doing this. But I think done well, this is the best way of pulling people into your game before they've even played it. So, I hope that answers your question, Shadow Dragon Dev.